So this is Larry Kinsella again. I've been doing primitive skills for quite a while. Started with flint knapping in 1980, and been teaching at the Rabbit Stick Rendezvous. I don't teach cordage, however. I'm still learning that. So what we're going to do is just a very basic 2-ply cord. And I have done this with probably 10, 12,000 7th and 8th graders over the years. So this is the system that I've worked out. What I want you to do is get your cord even on both ends. That makes a loop at the top. Make a simple overhand knot about 1 inch long at the top, like that. I found out that first graders don't have the skills to do cordage. Second graders, yes. So if I have a first grade class, I may have 2 out of 20 that can do it. And if I have second grade, there'll be 2 out of 20 that can't. So, yeah, they're getting more skills that it takes to do this. So it's very simple. Just go around the rope, take the 2 ends, put them through the loop. Then that ties it to the rope temporarily so that you can get it off later. Now, if you look at the rope close, or the string, you'll see that it's twisted to the right, both halves. And so that's why we're going to start by twisting to the right. If you twist to the left, it opens up the weed. It doesn't do us any good. We need it tight. So if you've got a cord that was twisted to the left, we do everything backwards in what we're doing. So we're going to grab each string about 1 inch from the knot. Take the fibers between our right finger and thumb and twist them tightly to the right. Both of them will go, then do the same thing with the left one, twist it to the right. So they both go the same direction. Everybody wants to go in opposite. And then you're going to take your right hand over your left and change hands. And we'll do it again. Twist to the right, twist to the right, right hand over the left, change hands. Twist to the right, twist to the right, right hand over left, change hands. Once you get about 1 inch done, let go like this, and it will unravel. It will unravel maybe 1 turn. And that's what we're trying to do, is get that cord started. So the reason we're doing this, we want to take this all the way to the end. So twist to the right, twist to the right, right hand over left, change hands. Oh, I was painting today too, and I didn't get my fingernails clean. Looked like a dang hog. So,
Right hand to the left.
yeah, it's weird. You would think it goes the other way. So what we're doing is we're making these fibers 50 times stronger than they were originally. And this has great applications. In a survival situation, the main rules of survival, I've been watching that commercial for the MRIs, the meals that last for 20 years on TV, and they say the most important thing is food, baloney. The most important thing is water. You've got to have 2 quarts of water, you're going to die. So that's the number 1 rule, other than, I take it back. It's first aid first, and then water. And then it's cordage, believe it or not. Of course, cordage is more important than food, because if you know how to make cords, you can get food. You can make snares and traps and bows, all kinds of things with this simple cordage. Well, I'm getting about this far, about 2 inches left. I'm going to tie a knot in the end just to keep it from unraveling. It can be any kind of knot, doesn't matter. And once you get that, that holds your weave together really well. This is a really good way to survive. Now, if you think about Castaway, the movie, Tom Hanks, I tell people that if he had known this, he could have gotten off that island in 2 weeks rather than 6 years. If he had known how to do this, the movie would have been over. Because remember when he tried to hang himself with that bad rope?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rope gave way. This wouldn't give way. So the movie would be over. My buddies that taught me this at Rabbit Stick, they are the ones that were the what do you call them, supervisors for the, I think you're twisting the wrong way. No, you're twisting the right way, you're lapping the wrong way, I think. Let me see. Oh, you got it. Wait a minute. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Need my glasses.
Twist.
That was Steve Watts, Dave Halliday, and Dave Westcott. It was at the canoe, and they were the technical people on Castaway. So the day before they started filming, they walked the beach, and Dave Halliday walked down the beach and found an old volleyball. And guess who that became? Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
And so when you look at the movie, when he made the fire, having a regular hand drill fire doesn't work too well on a movie. It was too hard for him to make too. So what they did is they had him do a plow fire, which is much, much harder to do. And there was a sparker underneath. So when he got to the part, because if you look, he's sawing like this, and he doesn't have the end in the sawdust when he stops. It won't light unless you do that. And so when he pulled away, the sparker sparked up and up went. So, but I use that a lot for this cordage because there's survival techniques you can learn from that movie that even, not even stuff that's being pointed out. When he lost that, what do you call it, the flashlight in the cave, the batteries went out and he threw the flashlight away. He threw away a perfectly good drinking cup. He threw away a spring that could make fish hooks, all kinds of things like that. And there's the other flat spring that could be used, and 3 different ways to make fire with a parabolic lens. So when you're in a survival situation, Mountain Mel says this is the most important thing for a survival situation. So he was out in got called out to a rescue on a lake in Colorado. They found a young man in the cabin dead, and the guy had a notebook with him, and he kept a log. He was there 20 days, and on the first day he was there was a rifle there with lots of ammunition, and he said, I may have to shoot an elk or some animal to survive, and I don't want to do that, so they threw the bullets in the lake. And on day 21, he was out in the lake trying to find the bullets. So Mountain Mel uses that as you got to use your brain in a survival situation. So what we've done here, this is what I do with the kids. We made a little survival bracelet. So put the end back through, and you take it and put it on your wrist. My wrist, I noticed that this length is what I could do wrapping on my arm, and it's also to where the kids can't wrap it around their neck.
Yeah.
So there's a method to my madness.
So then you got a way to have the cordage right in hand.
Right.
Literally.
So, and then we do pottery, and we do something, flint knapping. So they keep this cord with them. And then the next day they bring it out and we do pottery and press the cords into the pottery for design. So what you'll notice, if you go this way, it won't tighten up. If you go that way, it will. So the older way it tightens up, and just tuck it under. And it'll stay there all day. Some days I got 8 of these on my arm.
Does anybody else want another piece while I'm up here?
Yeah, bring in another one because I want to show you the thigh roll, if we can work that out.
So what kind of materials have you used to do cordage making?
What kind have I used?
Yeah.
Oh, basswood, God. I got some, here, might as well take
She
them.
brought that basket too.
Yeah, Linda brought some, I think that looks like basswood to me. That's what we used on the canoe. This, I don't know.
Why don't you show us what basswood looks like?
That I don't know.
There's the basswood.
Looks like split willow.
The great thing about basswood, you know, the idea if you're making fibers is you want the fibers to be as long as they can. You can walk up to a basswood tree, take a stone knife, hit it like that, and pick that bark all the way up and leave them go up in some of the limbs. So you can end up with pieces like we had for the canoe that were 60 feet long. And then you split those in half and then go ahead and twist it. So we're going to do the same thing, get the ends even, tie a knot. Oh no, Yeah, that works.
Now, when I taught this, I put it in my mouth and
That's
twist.
the
twist,
way they do
press,
it, but when you're using dog bane,
twist.
dog bane is poisonous. That's what I got dog bane for.
Oh, okay.
And so and that's the best cordage material
I've always used
there is.
milkweed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we used milkweed at Cahokia. I remember doing that.
I
So,
used yucca, but it's
Yeah.
short,
so
so you
this
have to
is,
do a lot of splicing.
yeah. So this is usually done on a bare leg, but if you're a hairy-legged cuss, your hair gets caught in it. It's kind of nasty. So I got these. We're going to hope that they work. Just a couple pieces of leather.
Leather.
Try to put it on your leg, and then you want to separate the fibers about like that.
Don't like this method. Never been able to do this one.
Okay, separate the.
That's what it is.
I know. That's what Glenn told
Yeah,
me.
tie the knot.
Oh,
Yeah, that keeps it unraveling.
You know, I trade horse hair and dog fur as well. The dog fur is real short. The horse hair was so coarse
Right.
that it was really hard to get it to make the twist stay.
And Sue makes those horsehair things that she does
Yeah.
with a finger weaving at the top. And
Yeah.
she makes it out of rabbit too, which is really,
Never
really
tried
tough.
rabbit.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab that loop, and sometimes it helps to have water. So I'm just gonna, oh, I got my keys in my pocket. So we're gonna separate it about like that, nice and tight on it. Keep your right finger holding that knot, and then roll. And then let go of the other end. And then come back and do it again. Yeah, I got those keys in my pocket, and that's really preventing it. Then we're gonna roll again, and then roll back.
Doesn't seem as tight.
So when you're doing, oh, it isn't nearly as tight, no. This is when you're making not baskets, but fish nets, where you need miles and miles of cordage. Yeah, you don't want to sit there and twist at all. So this gives you a decent cord, but it's a little more open weave.
Push away.
Hmm?
You push away.
Yeah. Now get them all both rolled to the right. Then you twist this, so hold it, and then reset it. So then
It's a lot looser.
yeah. Well, fishnet you really don't need a very tight weave. And I noticed Linda brought some sinew too. I tried making sinew bowstrings and I had a lot of trouble with them because they stretch. And they said that was one of the reasons that the ancient people didn't like to go to war on a humid day. Their bowstrings would tie up on them and just stretch. And I can understand that. So I make my bowstrings now out of rawhide.
Okay, am I doing something wrong? So it's coming apart
Mine won't
rather
stay
than going
together.
together.
Okay, you got the wrong,
Maybe
yeah, like
that.
that, yeah, try that. They should work the same way.
I'm not getting it to stay together like
Yeah.
yours is.
It's twisting, but it's not going together. So what am I doing
I'm
wrong?
not staying.
Try that again. Oh, you're not back spinning it. So that's what you're doing with the left hand. You want to roll this and hold on to this.
Mhm.
And now spin that.
Oh,
To make
spin
it
this one
catch
as
up.
well?
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then come back again. Oh, I did it the wrong way there. I'm supposed to let go of it until it winds up and then spin back.
Still not doing it.
There we go. But you can imagine making a net as long as this building, and then you just got to make a lot of cord.
All right, I'm still not getting it.
Try it again.
Got it separated,
Yeah.
right?
All right, now take, no, don't let go. Yeah. So hold it right there. Now take your left hand and spin it the way it needs to go, other direction.
Away?
There you go, yeah, that's where, okay, now, all right, now come back and get another twist on it, there you are.
Okay.
And twist that
I
up,
was twisting it the wrong way.
there you go.
Okay. Got it.
So this is called thigh rolling, and this is what will work this out really well. That's it, and turn this way,
This
toward
way?
me, yeah, or,
No,
I think that's,
this
no,
one.
there you go.
It's not,
Whichever way
it's still,
tightens
it's
up
still not
anyway.
tightening, it's
Yeah.
not staying.
Just get a little more distance between the threads before you roll them. Get them about 2 inches apart. Like that, so you can roll them separately, a little easier. Yeah, no, give them both at the same time.
Alright.
There you go. And then whichever way it makes the rope, you don't let go with that one until you do this one. Now do this one, whichever way makes it tighter. There you
Yeah.
go. So what you're doing, you're taking these fibers and you're twisting them one way and lapping them another. And that's what adds the strength to it, because it tries to unwrap and it can't do it. So when you do 3-ply, just like braiding here, you're getting the same effect. You can go 5, 6, 7-ply. When people make a choker for a construction site, that's what they'll do, is they'll take the steel cable and do this, and that makes the loop in the end of it and holds it nice and tight. And then the pulling with the choker tightens it all up. So,
I saw a group of people doing archaeology. They used one made out of milkweed to literally pull a truck out of the mud. But it wasn't thin like this. They made it about that thick.
a guy out at Rabbit Stick can do the same thing with toilet paper. He'll make a rope strong enough to pull a Jeep out of the mud with toilet paper. I've seen him do it every year. And it's amazing what you can do with this simple little technology. So if you think about cord mark pottery, look at it, that's what this is. When you're spanking that, all the kids get a kick out of it when I say I'm spanking the pot. Just like, the kids all giggle about spanking it, just silly stuff.
Finally
But-
learned what I was doing wrong.
There you go. Now, you go that and go to the other end. Yeah. And if you, as long as you hold on to that end, yeah,
That's
it'll
okay.
twist right up on you. So, this is really basic stuff.
Should I show
And-
the fishnet that I brought?
Hmm?
Should I show the fishnet that I brought?
Yeah, I forgot about that. So, to show you how one thing leads to another. Illinois used to have archaeology days at all the lakes in Illinois. Wren Lake, Carlisle Lake, a couple other ones. And we would go there and demonstrate. Now, yeah, and they have a special little,
It's knotted.
yeah, it's a thing that the shovel that makes nets real easy. That's a whole craft in itself.
Oh, I see, it's just a knot.
Yeah, there's a knot, and the shell goes in, and then we bring it around once, and then,
So this isn't like old, is it?
No.
It's modern.
It's one of my education props.
I took a net making cast out at Rabbit Stick, and we all together, about 20 of us, made a net that would be long enough to go about 5 feet tall.
And then the gourds are for the
Receivers.
sinkers, the weights.
What's in them?
Floaters.
Sinks, don't they? Don't gourds usually
Seeds.
float?
Yeah, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, during those archaeology days, Kentucky had them too. So about 1991, 91, I was down at Mammoth Cave, Kentucky. And it's really fun down there because you're sitting there all day flint knapping and doing projects, and then a bus will come in off a tour, and then at 2 o'clock, 20 buses come in off a tour. So you've got over 1,000 people for your class, and it's only, your demonstration, it's only for about 20 minutes, then they have to get on another thing and leave. So I found out that making fire really was fantastic to do that. And so I'm making fire, and a gal shows up and says, what are you making that fire with? And I said, well, there's some stuff from California, and it's our closest relative is goldenrod. But theirs has white flowers. And she said, well, I'm from LA, or I've been working out there, my mom lives there, and I know I can get you some of that. And I said, well, that'd be wonderful. And her name was Pam Augustwar, and she ended up being one of the main meat inspectors at the health department in Washington, D.C. So never heard from her again, never seen her since. And this was like 1991. About 3 weeks later, I get a box this big with 40 or 50 of those rods, and they're just perfect. All of them are straight as a die. And she said, we were driving along the freeway in LA, and we noticed out in the median there was a bunch of this growing, so Mom and me stopped, and we picked this whole box for you and sent it to you. And I haven't seen her since, but we keep sending Christmas cards to each other all the time. So I'm still using that. I could use it in the end of my life. But there was a gal at Mammoth Cave, Joan Miller, and she came over to me and she said, are you going to rabbits? Yeah. I said, I just started going out there. She said, I got something, I'll show you. So she had a flyer, 2-page flyer, and it had how to make Mammoth Cave slippers. And when you go through Mammoth Cave, Patty Jo Watson took me through it, and it was fabulous stuff to see. But most of the stuff you see, you walk right by, because it's hidden behind a rock here and there. And there are 20 pairs of slippers where 2 million people walk through there, and they walk within 5 feet of these slippers. And you just got to know the right place to go. And they're made with the right hand twist cord, mostly rattlesnake master, and I think nettle. And so she told me about that, and said, this is the way you make these slippers. Well, this is a little copy of one of them that's a child slipper. They had a couple pairs of child slippers right as you along the trail, and your feet go in here, and your toes go in there, and then your heel, and then you tie this around your leg, and that's what holds it on. And it's a fairly simple weave. It's twining though. You've got these strings, and then you wrap around it, and then you twist, wrap around the next one, twist, wrap around the next one. And that's the way they're made. And it's very simple. Look at the pattern it makes too. If you look at pottery in Kentucky, a lot of pottery in Kentucky is that pattern. So I took that information, went to Rabbit Stick, and Mike Terry, a good buddy of mine from Yakima, Washington, was there. And he makes these slippers. This is from Cave in Nevada. I can't think of it right now, don't you? Anyway, your toes go in there, your heel goes back here, and then you cinch it up on your heel and lap it in. And these are from Dog Cave, I think it is, in Nevada. And they date to 9,000 BC. And he was making these. I took his class. This is my example from his class. And you see bigger twining. You've got a bigger rope, and then you put twining in it. Much more substantial slipper. Dates to 9,000 BC.
Can we see
So I showed it to him, and I said, he showed it to me, and I said, now I just met a gal that makes these upper slippers. And he said, no kidding. And so I gave him her address, and he called her that night and found out. I gave him that flyer that I had So next year I went out and he was making the slippers. So this is my pair of slippers. And I wear them out there when I don't want people to know who I am. This year I dressed up as a Martian when they danced around the fire. And I didn't want anybody, I couldn't see what I was doing, damn it, burned myself to death. But I had a really good time. And I didn't want people to see my shoes, so I wore these. And they're pretty substantial. I don't wear them a lot because I don't want them to get worn out, but not too bad. And this is all from that one gal seeing me doing that demonstration in Kentucky. And he's made thousands of these and passes them out all over the country and does classes. At Rabbit Stick, this is his main thing now. So when you're doing a craft, it isn't just for you, it's passing on this heritage. And that's what that's what I wish that modern Indians would, natives would focus on more, what they do, but the negative part of it, because all the crafts that I've learned out at Rabbit Stick, that's where they came from. I would never learn that. The canoe came from John McPherson out at Rabbit Stick, made a canoe in 1991. I told him, I said, I saw this thing in National Geographic. They made a canoe with chainsaws. If they made it with stone tools, it might mean something. Well, I went on waiting 35 years. He went and built a canoe. So it's the only canoe that I know of that had any kind of documentation.
The
So,
one that you did? The one that you did?
no, the one that he did out in Kansas with 11 boys, and then that's why we documented the hell out of ours,
Right.
because there wasn't enough documentation on it.
Well, when you were talking and what he just said about passing the knowledge on, is there a way for Cahokia Mountains maybe to sponsor a class to learn some of these things?
They've done that in the past. They've had people come in and teach like hide tanning and those sort of things.
It all came from Dave.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But that was the thing. Years ago, Cahokia, Dave Klostermeyer got there, and he knew about a place in Berkeley that had old films, even Ishi.
Mm-hmm.
And so he sent. There was one I can remember of a guy on the northeast coast making glue by chewing a bladder of a sturgeon and spitting it in a cup. And man, this glue would tear anything up that we have today.
That sounds
It was disgusting as hell, but boy, it really glued stuff. And another bow maker and some flint knappers and stuff. And I've been trying to find those old films, and I don't know what the names of them were. I kept searching them, but they're out there. And
in the movie Ishi, it uses some of that footage of the real one,
Yeah.
the real man doing the demonstrations.
yeah, that would have been.
But I don't know where the originals are.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to my question. I mean, I know that the museum is closed,
Right.
but
So
this is
right
something
now,
that could be done
the
outside.
logistics of having people on site
Yeah.
would be hard. I mean, we can't even guarantee that people will be allowed to come in and use the restroom, so
See, I used to do 2 flint knapping classes a year.
a year.
Yeah, and with the way it is right now, there's just no way we could do it. I'm thinking of holding classes up at Pleasant Ridge Park and just do it on my own, because I got so many people who wanted to do it, so,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Or maybe at Campsville.
Yeah. So, what I'm trying to get at is, it's just like my wife being a storyteller too. She got that passed to her. She watched other storytellers, watched their manners. They hold workshops, how to present yourself, what to do with it for an agent, all this kind of stuff. And it really helps the other storytellers coming up. John White was a fabulous Native American storyteller up in Campsville, and he had people that either loved him or you hated him. And I was one of those that hated him for a while. I couldn't stand him. We went up there to demonstrate at Archaeology Day, Dave Klostermeyer and me and Charlie Laster, and they said, go sit in the corner there, when somebody comes in, opens the door, then go ahead and start napping. You know, most archaeologists aren't really, how do you put it, organized like that. So we figured, oh wait, we can do that. So the door opens up, we start napping, and the guy yells, "Hey, you idiots, knock it off. Can't you see I got a door here?" That was John. And he walked into the Indian house, and we stopped napping, and pretty soon a big whiff of smoke went up, and everybody ran out of the Indian house, and whoosh, the whole thing went up, burned it to the ground. The firehouse was right across the street, and they couldn't make it over to Fort Albertville. And that's how I met John White, and then we became lifelong friends. And so it's really funny how these relationships come together. And most of it is through a craft. Yeah, so like Joan, when I met her, never met her again after that first time down at Mammoth Cave. And then the same with Pam, never saw her again. But you don't need to see them all the time.
What are some other things that could be made with cordage?
Oh, clothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Now rawhide is usually better for that, but if you look at, I don't know if you know, oh shoot, I can't think of her name right now. She lives in Indiana, and she's researching split cane baskets, and she's making these mats with split cane, and she actually has designs in the mat.
With the weaving?
Right, and she's copying really early woodland or middle woodland and late woodland designs, and some of it, they got so many caves, some of it's still left. And so when she comes in this area, she goes over to St. Louis and looks at some of the stuff over there. The best source for the old stuff is the cave in southern Arkansas, Bluff Dweller Cave, and that has a lot of old spinning and this type of stuff in it. But you can make pouches, sheaths for knives. God, there's just no end to what you can actually do.
Okay.
And so, just like the canoe project, when I have people talking about experimental archaeology, I tell them that it's a field that is completely open, and so there's so much room to do anything you want. The problem is you have to do it the right way. Hence the canoe. So I have people that do experimental archaeology that go to Tandy Leather, buy some leather, and then they'll rub a rock on it for 5,000 strokes, and then see what happens. Well, what's the rock? Is that what the Indians were using? And that chemically tanned buckskin is nothing like brain tan.
Right.
And so when they come up with these ideas, I try to tell them to work towards something. So if you're going to make a knife blade, put it on a handle, and then make a knife out of it so that you have something physical to see when you're done, so that other people, when they do it, they can compare it to what you've got. That's what we didn't have with the canoe. We didn't have anything to compare it with. So experimental archaeology, you need to have, I think, you need to have a goal of what you want to have and then make it. And if it doesn't come out, you do something else till it comes out. That's what experimenting really is. So, and we did that with the canoe almost every day. We come up with one way of working, then it works better this way. Wedges work better than beating the hell out of it. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of what else I could tell you.
Well, I have a question about.
Oh, I
this.
know what I wanted.
So in looking at it, are there like, kind of like weaving, where you've got pieces like this and then you're twining the other
Right.
pieces?
See what you're starting with
in
this.
between? Okay, that's right.
Right, and then you're weaving those, and then this just ends up being like a brush right here.
Okay.
This is the child slipper. Excuse me. So we need to see what we got, how this comes about. So I'll give you one. This is dog bane. This is why we have the tarp on the floor. All right, so set it on the floor. Oops, my hook on, there we go. And then stomp on it. You have to get your heels, get the top. It's better to just stand on it. It should break into 4 segments.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe I start at the,
4 segments.
Did yours do it?
It is now.
it was better when I was heavier. You can also
Probably work
break it over your
better without
leg if you have to.
holes and
Yeah.
Nope, I won't get too much.
carpeting.
But it's good to get it. I think what it is the carpet.
Yeah.
Carpet isn't allowing us to get it
Mm-hmm.
completely smacked.
Oh, Don managed to get his perfect.
See.
There we go.
Why does it break into 4 pieces? That's very strange.
That is.
Boy,
Why does it break into 4 pieces?
I don't know. It just does.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I should have bought a hammer
It's
with
like
me.
this, set you up really good to make a basket too.
Yeah. So what you do is you grab one of those 4. I'm just gonna grab these 2 here, separate them. And then you have to take the fiber off. Usually you take a flint flake and you get this reddish part off to some extent. And then you start at one end about 2 inches, like this, break it over, and then take this and pull it away. And then you go another 2 inches, break it over, pull it away.
Sorry.
Sometimes you have to pull it back, so that you keep as many fibers together as you can.
Oh, it's the part on the outside that you want?
Yeah. Snap it.
Which way do you break it?
Yeah, I just
Towards the fiber?
Towards the
put
fiber.
mine.
Yeah.
And you said dog meat is poisonous?
Yeah. It's not deadly poison, it's gonna make you sick, but,
So I better not use the mouth.
yeah, that's, I don't use, out of rabbit stick, they do it.
So we're just,
So there's those people out there, they've been living in the mountains all their life.
you're just pulling that off?
Yeah, but you wanna break, let's see, this is the inside, you break it like that, and then pull that off. And then that gives you the biggest amount, you can pull it one way or the other. This is going real good,
Okay.
so, and that's better probably to pull it that way on that one. And the idea is you don't wanna disturb those fibers any more than you have to. Yeah, it'd been a lot better if we'd have had a solid floor. Well, I used to be able to break this stuff. Nope, no going there.
So what would the Native Americans use? Just rocks to hit it on it? Because they didn't have hard shoes or?
Oh, yeah, you
Use a rock.
just take 2 rocks and smack it like that, it works great. I just didn't bring that with me. I never gave a thought about the carpeting on the floor. And then, what you're gonna do is ret the fibers. So, you're gonna take them like this. And just move back and forth to get that there's a little red film on the outside that's like bark. And you wanna get that chewed up a little bit. And that's what the retting does. And it also separates the fibers a little bit too. All right, then you can start farming a string.
So I didn't understand what you were doing that first process.
Like this, make that red stuff kind of fall off. And then this is good for thigh rolling too. It's just, oh, I need my leather to keep it from sliding.
Can the dog mane be collected at any time, or do you? know?
Almost. There used to be tons of it at Cahokia. We're across the airfield there,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, on the other side, oh my God. And I have never seen a place other than Cahokia where the cattails, remember when we did that cattail class with Ellie White? And we went and got those cattails, I think Dave and I went and cut them for the class. They were over 10 feet tall, the biggest cattails I've ever seen. And I've never seen any that big anywhere else in the country. And I think it's because the Cahokias cultivated them.
Well, now we don't allow people to come and take the cattails.
Right.
Or other plants.
So you want to just kind of get the fibers even, and you can twist it up like this too, and just get get that bark out of there.
It's kind of hairy.
Yeah.
When you collect it, you have to let it dry first, or?
This I let dry. This is 2000.
2008.
Yeah.
So is it green at first? When
It's
it comes
green
in?
and it gets a little white tuft at the top of it. Oh God, and you know, when they would mow it at Cahokia, they'd mow it off about that high off the ground, almost made me cry. But there was so much of it, yeah. Now it's almost all gone. I don't think there's hardly any over there anymore.
Why is
And
that?
now all that, remember when we built the pit house and we had all the cattails that we got over there across the, from the golf course at, I guess it's the mound, Wilson Mound across the street from that. That was all, cattails. Now it's all, what's the stuff from Egypt?
Virus?
No? Well, I always had trouble with that name. I know they use it in the pyramids like they use for brick over here. They put 4 courses of bricks and then they, it's on the tip of my tongue. Not eat with sedum. Anyway, they put it in it to tie the courses together on the pyramids. Every 4th course has got phragmites. That's what it is. And phragmites has taken over every bit of water in Missouri and Illinois, all those places along the interstate. They had borrow pits. It's all phragmites. Used to be cattails, now it's all phragmites.
How did that get introduced to?
Somebody probably just bought a sample home. It makes
All
a
it
real,
takes.
it's a real tall grass, you know. And anyway, this is what you would then twist 2 of these together. Now the hard part is getting the joints. So in a joint situation, what did I do with it? You have to have enough lap to incorporate it. Let me get another one here. To incorporate it into your thing. What I'm trying to impress upon you is the amount of time that it would take to make a net out of this stuff.
To make it.
And this, you can make really fine line, really good fishing line with this. It holds together pretty well. Now, if you use nettle, so when you get to a spot, most of this stuff will taper. If it doesn't, you gotta take a little out and get it to lap and then twist it right into it. Making the string the same thickness all the way through is the hardest part for me.
Oh, yeah, because the pieces would be
Right.
different.
And then that's how you would make your cordage.
You mentioned the Wilson Mound, is that where the motel?
Past that, it's the one that's down near that Mexican restaurant.
And there's a Chicolo Mound, that's farther.
Chuckalo is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, Chicolo,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I think that was, used to be Wilson Mound too, if I remember right.
I thought that was where the motel was, but when they
Maybe.
surveyed that.
And then this you could do the same way, you could tie the knot if you wanted to. And then the problem is, I have to get wet.
If you get, yeah, that's the thing, how many times are you licking that and
Right.
getting the toxin?
And the problem is, with it being flat, it's hard to get started. But once you get started, you can make a really fine twine out of it. I'm gonna leave it like that, get my water. There we go.
You can do this on a hot day when you're all sweaty from
Oh, God, yeah.
a humid day.
But I made some very fine cord this way. The cord on that shark's tooth club that I had, that's what I made out of dog meat to hold the shark's teeth in.
Did you just wrap it around the shark's tooth?
No,
How did you do?
there's a hole that they drilled into it.
Oh,
And then there, I need to show you that sometime, Linda.
that's
The original shark's teeth, you can't tell anything from them because they rotted off from the hole down to the dentin. But the ones that were burned at Mount 34, you can see what happens. And they have a notch. The bottom is all ground out and completely modified. And then there's a notch on the end, at the last razor part of the shark's tooth. A little notch maybe half as deep as those serrations on the shark's tooth. And those are used to hold the front and back of the tooth down. And I didn't know that until I made the club.
okay.
And modifying the teeth takes anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. So I got that on my website.
So the one at Mount 34, was that where the teeth alternated between like napped?
No,
Was there one that was like some were little shark's teeth and some were
Right.
carefully?
yeah, that was the same way as the one out in Remy Plaza. That's the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
oh, that was a great.
And they're made the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 great whites and 8 flint teeth.
Do you think that was because of, a shortage, a lack of the actual teeth, or was it intentionally like,
Mhm.
something done symbolically to, like, okay, we're gonna have a real tooth and we're gonna have one that we make, like, there's maybe something purpose for that?
Yeah, I don't know. Not with what made me think of hopscotch trade were those teeth. Laura Kozak identified them. She got her doctorate at University of Florida, Gainesville, on shark's teeth and shell. And she's the one that does the experiments up at U of I now. And she told me that there's only 2 teeth that are shaped like that in every great white. And so those 5 teeth represented 3 great whites, 16 feet long. And she said that her professor looked at them and said that these were not washed up on shore, they were taken live.
How would you know that?
He had some way, but I'm thinking of being out in the ocean with a 16-foot great white on your fishing line.
So this is a pretty rare commodity to ship up this far, so it wasn't like they were bringing in bushels and bushels full of these.
No.
It's a
Well,
prestige item.
That's where I called, doggone it, Mecca. What is it that you do when you walk to Mecca? Call it
Pilgrimage.
pilgrimage. That's a pilgrimage trade and a hopscotch trade. So let's say I wanted 5 great white shark's teeth. So I traded to a guy in Indiana. He traded to somebody in Pennsylvania. They traded to somebody on the coast. By the way, they weren't in the Gulf of Mexico at that time, only in the Atlantic or Pacific. So when you got back, would you be sure that you got exactly what you wanted? So it's the same way with the obsidian blades in Ohio. would you send another flint knapper all that distance to get the blade material that you wanted? Nah, you'd make a pilgrimage. So you'd go there and you would knap out the blades, excuse me, to what you knew you could get out of it. Same way with shark's teeth. You take your journey, and all 5 of those shark's teeth are the same size. So they're matched. So would somebody else know to do that? No. You'd go make that pilgrimage, and then you would come back with what you wanted. And when people talk about pilgrimage, I always start telling the story that John White said about the Tamaroa coming down the Illinois River, and every time they moved, the Iroquois would move across the river from them. And they were mortal enemies. Many more Iroquois than Tamaroa. So they hopscotch. Tamaroa would move, Iroquois would move, and they'd move, and they'd move. They get down to Swan Lake, Pere Marquette. And that's where all of a sudden the Iroquois were gone. So they camped out there. And they decided to send men over into Missouri to get buffalo. So while they were gone, the Iroquois came, killed 900 Tamaroa, and forced marched 900 Tamaroa back to New York in less than a month. So these people got around. I don't think it was that big a deal to walk to the Atlantic Ocean if you're on something like this that you have to have just what you want. So that's why I say I think there's hopscotch trade and pilgrimage trade. And while you're there, you're probably, I think what they did with those big Ross blades in Ohio, they made them out there really rough. And then they knew when they got back they could finish them up. Because in that big Ross mound, I think there were like 1,400 obsidian blades. So it's not just an idea of carrying 1 or 2 back here. One of those blades is probably 5-6 pounds. So there was a real madness to this whole thing. Usually it's economics. Something works better by doing it one way than another, and they'll pick the most efficient way, not necessarily the easiest way. The other one is steam metal, and this is not quite the time of the year. It's about another month or 2. You get it in this stage, what I call the gray stage. This should pop easier, but we'll just look at the fibers. That's why it's best to take to split them in 4s, because then the fibers will split away from the metal. You can also strip it too. I forgot about that. You don't have to do it like you do with but the fibers just.
So when that's dry, does it make you have the same kind of allergic reaction to it as when it's fresh?
I've never had anybody have an allergic reaction to this unless it's green.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I mean.
yeah. I don't know if any people know what steam metal is. If you look very closely, you're gonna see all those little hairs on there.
Oh, yeah.
That's fireweed. When you're out in the woods in the spring, all those little needles break off in your skin, and that's what gives you that fireweed burn when you're hunting around mushrooms, especially. You get those little tiny little hairs on there, and that's the stuff. So you don't want to get this during the spring. I've heard people using it, but it's just such a pain for me. I don't like to get near it, and so I usually wait till late October or November when it gets in what I call the gray stage. If it gets to the white stage, it's usually too far gone. So one of the other things you need to think of, especially for materials, is the time of the year that material is available, and then get it during that time of year. So the dogbane that's harvesting just about now, and the nettle would be another month or 2. If you're hunting for goldenrod, goldenrod you want to get in the brown stage. So it'll be green, and then it'll go brown, and then it goes gray, and then falls down. So if you get it in the gray stage, it gets too chaffy, you can't do much with it. You get it in the brown stage, then you can straighten it out. If you use it for hand drill fires, you go all that straighten ahead of time and hang it up. Another thing people don't think about, and this is something about museums that always gets me, is that nobody thinks about the hanging stuff from the attic. When you're storing stuff, you can't let your stone axle sit out in the rain. You can't let your bow out there. You can't let the bow strings. You can't let anything with like pouches and things like that. They're going to rot. You have to hang those from the rafters. And most museums don't do that. I mean, you've got a few things at Cahokia, but all that stuff would be hanging from the rafters. And so, you know, anything that's made with cordage like this has to be hung up. It's on the ground for a couple days. It's going to be eaten up and get rotten starting in it. So,
How long would slippers like those last?
I don't know.
I guess it depends how.
But the ones, all the ones that are in Mammoth Cave, the heels are worn out first, and then it's the outside part of the foot here, that little area right there wears out. And then almost all of them have a hole in the heel and then a hole there. So, but they must last quite a bit, or they wouldn't be using them. And if you ever walked in Mammoth Cave over all that breakdown, my God, that'll tear your feet up really fast. I don't see them making them if they weren't, didn't last a while. Now, what we're making it out of it is what do you call it? The commercial stuff. Yeah, what they're making out of is rattlesnake master, a little bit of, some of them are made of stinging nettle. But
What kind of environment does dog bang grow in?
pretty wet. Yeah, right around the edges of marshes and stuff like that. I would think that area where 161, where Route 11 and that Granite City Road along the lake there.
Horseshoe Lake Road?
Those swamps are in that area there, probably Long Lake, and anywhere around there, you're going to have the cattails right in the water, and then maybe 20, 30 feet from that will be the dog bane. But the problem is everybody's using so many insecticides and all that nowadays, it's hard to tell. I've seen this get up 7 feet tall, dog bane. So you get 5 or 7 feet long, and you can do almost anything you want with it.
Well, what do you do with goldenrod?
Goldenrod is really good for fire making, for spindles, for hand drills. Yeah, it grows really nice and straight. The way I found it was like that gal over Suara, she gave me that stuff from LA, and it had the white flowers on it, and I looked and I said, wow, look at the leaf attacker, that's goldenrod. So I tried goldenrod, sure enough, it worked. So.
I'd be interested to see how they stitched, how they made those moccasins, because 2 of those, I don't know, does anybody else here crochet? But like the child's one, the first one you showed me, that is like identical to a single stitch crochet.
I can believe it, yeah.
That one.
Oh,
And actually some of it on that, the sides
yeah,
of that
these
one's
are-
the
these are
same
on
way.
the same-
Yeah.
Years on it.
But if you looked at a single stitch crochet on a napkin, it's an identical stitch.
Okay.
And I could see how you would do a row easily with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
But connecting the 2 rows without a needle seems like it'd be tricky, but obviously they're doing it.
It's been so long since I made this, I don't actually remember how I did some of this. It's just plain twining. You start with, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 8 or 9, and then you twine around those. You put it on it, twist, put another one in, twist.
Yeah,
another
I'm
one.
sure. I mean, I'm sure you're doing the same thing by hand that they learned
And
how
then
to do with the needle to
final
speed it
thing
up.
is- Yeah, this is where you need the needle, is to get around the top part of it.
they might be able to make a needle out of the deer bone,
Oh, yeah.
like they make the fish hooks and
Yeah.
the awls and things.
You think maybe the needle was an evolution of the process? You know, like,
Well, when we made those cattail mats, remember the needles we made with John out of a deer rib? Well, in fact, I got the other half of my deer rib here. Well, should have been in here. Here we go.
It's a lot harder to work with than the twine.
Yeah. And John just was so good with you, but he didn't give a damn about being accurate necessarily. He just did whatever worked. But we took the inside of this rib, polished it down on a concrete block, put a hole in the middle, and boy, this is perfect. Just a wonderful needle for putting cattails together. And I got the other one at home somewhere amongst all my stuff. So, does anybody have any questions? We've been kind of really informal because we had such a small group and because I'm not that great at teaching this.
oh, it's perfect, and we're almost out of battery, so timing is great.
Okay.
I've seen some depictions and pictures even of armor in like the Southwest, and even there's that Mississippian, one of those red clay figurines that has like the guy, he's decapitated, but he's got like a thing on his back, like a big.
You know where else you saw it? On that mural in the cafeteria.
That's right, yes. I knew it.
Yeah, Sue Walton painted that.
So do you think they would have had layers of like different densities to, so like an arrow
Oh, I'm
with a
sure.
double piercing, you could get so far through but not, like, kind of like chainmail almost.
And such a tight weave,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure mats were really important to them. And you would have to need something a lot denser for a mat, you would think, or probably a varying,
I got another story, but I'll tell you. about
hurt a
that.
lot less to get hit with a mat on than with,
All the time.
without a mat.
Uh,
Just remember, everything you say can be
I
held
know,
against you.
This last one, we'll wait on that. But the thing I want you to understand is this can save your life. Many people don't have a clue about what cordage can do, but there's just so many things in a survival situation, like I said, snares and traps and bowstrings, all kinds of things. You might have to have something to tie it for a tourniquet.
Shelter,
This would work.
shelter.
Shelter, you bet. When Tom Hanks had that raft, and he found all those videotapes, boy, he could have made a cordage out of those videotapes, and it would have been super strong. Like I said, he'd been off the island in 2 weeks, wouldn't have much of a movie. So,
I'll have to see that movie sometime.
yeah.
I've never seen it.
Well, the three guys said that were the consultants on it. They couldn't have picked better survival guys. They're three of the top in the world. So I don't know how they got the gig together, but they got paid to have a good time out on the island while they did all that work too.
I could see they must have spent a lot of time making a lot of cordage.
So, do you think, I know what I think, but on a winter's night, when it's pitch dark inside the wiki up, you could be doing this.
Oh,
Yeah.
We still do.
Huh?
We still do.
Yeah.
yeah. My mom sits in her easy chair every evening and
There you
watches
go.
the ball game.
So you don't have to have the light for that. It's when you're putting things together with it. Yeah.
Sure.
You gotta see what you're doing. But this almost comes as second nature.
If the rows are going off, or, yeah.
Right. So, there being no other questions, we're gonna adjourn this class.
Well, thank you, Larry.
You can take anything you want with you. If you want an extra couple pieces of dog mane or something like that too, feel free. So other than that, thanks for coming. I wish we'd had a bigger crowd, but,
Well, hopefully we'll reach lots of people online, and as you can see, nobody's quitting. They're all still making things with cordage. So we're gonna be here a while.
there you go.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, is it off?